offer the mandala. So if you have the daily prayers, page 24. The earth anointed with perfumed water and strewn with flowers, Mount Meru and the 4 continents, ornamented with sun and moon, by offering them visualized as a Buddha field, may all sentient beings enjoy the pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niyatayami. According to the wishes of sentient beings and their capacities for the high and low, common and uncommon vehicles, please turn the wheel of Dharma. And we make that request humbly and joyfully to our precious gurus, the precious lamas of the lineage. And like we always begin with the Lama, unrepayable kindness, only remember the Lama. Unrepayable kindness, only remember the Lama. Unrepayable kindness, only remember the Lama. And so with that great joy, that great appreciation, with big bodhicitta, not just that we're being a benefit, but by receiving the teachings and applying them to our own minds and hearts, all beings can know true peace, remove the darkness of their ignorance, and be liberated in their natural state of peace and joy without grasping. And then with that great confidence and joy and devotion to that just innate purity of our total experience, and especially of that of our teachers, we just begin our practice, maintain our practice, conclude our practice. And last week, I think Lama Dragpa really beautifully was addressing some questions that came. And in particular, looking at this questions that came up around this beautiful prayer we say and recite during our weekly sessions, as well as many of us in our daily practices. This prayer called Calling the Lama from Afar, which is in the Ngondro book, page 18. And I think the person writing had a few questions, and I think Lama Dragpa, just like I said, very beautifully, very kindly, with lots of encouragement, kind of address some of the questions around just when we're presented with this big view and realization, kind of not feeling discouraged, but how to, connecting with being encouraged. And I also just thought that some of these other questions, they're good questions, and they were questions that came, and so I definitely wanted to just bring them up because they seem very worthy. So, sorry, I just have to call them up on the little thingamajig here. Just thought I'll read them and then we can continue. Okay, sorry. So I'll just read these questions, or thoughts, and then just give a little reply. Again, it's only my reply, but here we are. Definitely all of these are things for us to contemplate ourselves. I'm reflecting, but we all have heard so many teachings and practices, so reflecting. So, the prayer of calling the Lama from afar, and then the person is saying, first asking, I think the basics of it is to know and experience the Lama is within us. Is that true? And there's so many words that are esoteric to me, such as then the second question, which is asking about what is this youthful vase body that's mentioned in the prayer. And then again, another third question, the prayer begins with requests to the Buddhas, Lamas of the three Kayas. How do these three enlightened beings correlate to the three Kayas? In other words, who are these three Buddhas, Yeshe Dorje, Dechen Dorje, and Drodo Lingpa? Why are they representing the three Kayas? Good question. And then the rest was the questions I think Lama Dragpa kind of addressed, kind of those points yesterday. So, yeah. So question one, with the Lama within us, is this true? Yes, definitely. Like Rinpoche say, and of course I can talk a little now, but in Rinpoche's book, Illuminating the Path, this commentary on the Dudjom Tersar Ngondro, there is one of the first chapters, a very brief and very beautiful kind of teaching on calling the Lama from afar. So there's more in-depth answers to these questions right there, right here in this book. And like Rinpoche say in that, this prayer, calling the Lama from afar, it's like looking into a mirror in that sense. Or like I was thinking, Khenchen Palden Sherab Rinpoche, he often just delighted in the meanings of words. And he always, I can remember a few times when talking about the Guru and Guru Yoga, he always, like with a glint in his eye and laughing, would spell it, Gee, you are you. And that just really delighted him. So there's a little teaching reflecting there. But I think the important thing with all of our practice we have to remember, basis is really reflecting, at least recalling, and hopelessly establishing more and more in our mind streams, in our familiarity, these four seals of all the Buddha's teachings and practices. Yes, the Buddha is within. The Lama is within. However, there's no intrinsically, substantially, permanently existing anything is a really fundamental view, right, in the Buddhist teachings. That all phenomena is illusory. All phenomena is impermanent. That samsara, ignorance, attachment, ego clinging, is what equals samsara. And therefore, there may be temporary comforts in samsara, but by definition, because we have our basic ignorance of how things truly are, samsara is suffering in vast ways, but the deepest way is that down deep anxiety due to just the great illusion of that we exist, right? So samsara is suffering. And then the fourth seal, when we see things as they are, when we're familiar with things how they are, which is beyond coming, going, birth, death, happiness, sorrow, beyond all that, the indestructible nature, the non-dual absolute nature of our mind, of bodhicitta, is peace. Nirvana is peace. And it's those great beings such as Khenchen Palden Sherab Rinpoche, Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal Rinpoche, His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche, Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche, all these great masters going up, Vimalamitra, Padma Buddha Shakyamuni, Yeshe Sojal, Mandarava, all these great beings have realized, they've done the work, they have realized, brought to fruition that realization of the true nature as it is. And that is the Lama. Like if we remember the word meaning of Lama, it's the Tibetan word Lama, Sanskrit word Guru. La is like high, Ma is like, in one way, is like nothing or negation, nothing higher. But then also Rinpoche's mentioned too, Ma also engenders being motherly, being caring, compassionate. So the supreme caring one, the supreme highest realization of bodhicitta and realization on the outer level is the Lama. Fully realized, that's our outer Lama, who through that great kindness and our good connection, shows us that, like we say, the nature of our own mind, the Dharmakaya of our own mind, and ways to become more and more familiar with that. That's the outer Lama, who's showing us our inner Lama for sure. And then the second question. I guess, too, I'll just take a step back. In that same vein, too, this just calling the Lama from afar. Remembering, too, for we ordinary beings with our conceptions and way of framing things, we're working with that dream. The Buddha's blessings are not far. Guru Rinpoche's blessings are not far. They're kind of timeless, both timeless and also very timely and skillful. Kind of blazing realization and compassion of our precious teachers. It's not far at all. It's all pervading. Three kayas, all pervading. And as Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal Rinpoche has pointed out, calling the Lama from afar isn't so much like calling the teacher from far, some remote place. Come here, come here, you know. It's more so calling the Lama from afar is kind of waking up to that all-pervading, blazing compassion and wisdom that's with us. Kindling, bringing up our devotion, our bodhicitta, kind of. It's not the Lama who's far, it's maybe more me who's zoned out. And so waking up, calling, rejoicing, reflecting on the teachings, that's where all these so many beautiful spontaneous prayers and composed prayers of calling the Lama from afar are, these prayers of devotion, you know. Again, devotion and blessings go, in a way, they're one and the same. They go both ways. Like there's the story of the great teacher whose student asked, "Oh Lama, Lama, give me blessings." And the Lama said, student, give me devotion." And I think a really important thing to remember in that statement is that wasn't the Lama being arrogant and contractual. He was pointing out the nature of devotion and blessings. Like the teachings say, devotion opens our minds and hearts to receive the blessings that are inherently all-pervading. And if we kind of can be that courageous to open ourselves and bring out our bodhicitta, how beautiful. So, that was just a little reflection on that first part. Yes, it's showing us our own Dharmakaya nature, our own Sambhogakaya nature, our own Narmanikaya nature, calling the blessings of the fully enlightened teacher who shows us that, and reflecting and relaxing with that meaning. Again, removing the veils of obscuration to bring out the Buddha nature. All of our practice, removing obscurations, bringing out our innate wisdom. So youthful base body was the second one. So youthful base body, many of us have heard the term. It comes up a lot, especially in the Dzogchen teachings. And the youthful base body is referring here in this specific prayer, it's referring to the Dharmakaya nature of our own mind, right? The essence, primordially unchanging, the innate nature, free of all elaboration, dwells as the youthful base body, the originally pure, profound clarity. So the youthful base body is also another word for our Buddha nature. So it's referring here to our Dharmakaya nature, but our Buddha nature, the nature of our mind, open, vast, uncontrived, and yet full of clarity and brilliance. And that's called youthful, or jonu. Bum ku is the Tibetan. Jonu means youthful. And here we're talking about the youthfulness that's beyond coming or going, that's beyond aging, that's beyond birth, beyond death. That kind of great youthfulness, immortal, deathless state. And then the vase, the body in the vase, like that Buddha nature. This is kind of a metaphor for our Buddha nature. The youthful vase body, in one way, is like there's a vase, a closed bumpa, and inside the bumpa is this youthful body, Buddha nature. But it's just due to our obscurations, we don't see it. Or like Rinpoche has said, like if there was a candle or a light inside a clay vase that was sealed, we don't see that light. And then another part of the metaphor is also, if there's a vase, the space inside the vase is equal to the space outside the vase. And that shell is kind of just like, maybe like our misunderstanding or our obscurations. So as we practice, as we learn, as we contemplate, as we meditate, we kind of reduce our obscurations and create little cracks, and maybe the light's shining out a little more. The great space is equalizing more. The youthful Buddha nature is revealed, but it was always there, just not seen, right? And then I think her next questions were around the three kaya aspect here. So I'll just say a little bit about that too. I just made a couple of notes so I didn't totally lose my train of thought. So yeah, the Dharmakaya Lama. This first section. Dharmakaya Lama, Yeshe Dorje, be aware of me. Please grant blessings to attain great confidence in the view. So here, Yeshe Dorje, here this first part is, of course, is referring to Dharmakaya awareness and the Dharmakaya Lama. And again, the three kayas, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Narmanikaya, they're not three separate things. They're three aspects of the nature. The Dharmakaya is like that, like it says here, the unchanging, uncontrived openness. Sambhogakaya is the spontaneously arising clarity. Narmanikaya is through that union of emptiness and compassion emanating to benefit beings according to their needs. They're not three different places. And likewise, these three lamas aren't three different lamas. They're three, again, reflecting on different aspects of the realization of the great outer lamas, as well as our three kaya nature, the openness, the uncontrived, innate nature, free of elaboration of our Dharmakaya mind, the naturally unceasing, luminous clarity, just ceaselessly, spontaneously, blissfully, luxuriously, always arising, inseparable from that Dharmakaya. And then this Narmanikaya, the compassion appearing to beings as needed, without any bias, equally for everyone, according to needs, and totally free of any limitation. Those are the three kayas, right? Then the three kaya lama, the three qualities of the three Buddha realizations, or the three qualities of the nature. So Yeshe Dorje is here in this part referring to Yeshe, the primordial wisdom. Dorje is the word Vajra, the indestructible awareness of primordial wisdom. The primordial wisdom that's indestructible again, the youthful base body beyond birth, death. That vastness is Yeshe Dorje, Dharmakaya Lama. Be aware of me, but also may I be aware of you. May I be aware of you, Dharmakaya Lama. May I be aware of my own Dharmakaya nature, as well as aware of our great teachers, right? And then all these three names are also different names. It's a way of connecting with Dudjom Rinpoche, His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdral Yeshe Dorje. So Yeshe Dorje is one of His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche's names as far as outer lama goes. And this name arose from the time when Dudjom Rinpoche was conceived. Right around the time Dudjom Rinpoche was conceived, his father had a dream. And in the dream, a dakini appeared to him and gave him two things. He gave him a melong, a mirror, beautiful clear mirror, and a vajra, a dorje, and said, "This is his name." And then the father knew that that meant his name was Yeshe Dorje. The mirror was like that profound, limitless, uncontrived, open clarity of the Dharmakaya, and the Vajra, the indestructible awareness. So that's one way of connecting. So this is the deep, deep meaning that transcends any one person of our Dharmakaya nature, is this indestructible wisdom, primordial wisdom of the great openness, the great prajna paramita. And then also, specifically, our great teacher, Dudjom Rinpoche, was given this name by his father from this dream he had when the dakini gave the mirror and the dorje to him. And then let's see, Sambhogakaya Lama. The nature, unceasing, conjoined configuration of luminous clarity dwells as a display of the spontaneously present five certainties. Ooh, there's a lot in that line, isn't there? But let's just keep it simple and just say everything arising, all that clarity, vivid, again, the Dharmakaya isn't an empty, blank state. Our own mind, right? We look to our mind, we can't find it, and yet it's full of awareness, full of clarity. everything, and then the deep, deep teachings, everything is that Sambhogakaya, arising clarity that's equally empty in nature. Spontaneous, free. Sambhogakaya is like the body of luxuries. It's luxurious, it's rich, it's the body of bliss. Again, not bliss we cling to, but just the natural expressive energy of the nature. Dechen Dorje. Dechen Dorje. Or the indestructible great bliss is what Dechen Dorje means. Dechen is like Dewa Chenpo. Dechen, great blissfulness that's indestructible, is that Sambhogakaya nature, the luxurious body, rising energy of the nature. And again, we're praying, please be aware of me, and may I be aware of that. May we all be aware of that. May we all have our Sambhogakaya realization. And, really get to know our meditation and see things clearly as they are. And then also, again, this was another name of Dudjom Rinpoche. And I think the full name was Jedrong. The full name was Jigdral Kunzang Tinle Dechen Dorje. And this name was bestowed upon Dudjom Rinpoche there was a great Turton whose name was Jedrong Sampa Jungne. And after the previous emanation of Dudjom was Dudjom Lingpa, really great, great Turton, who was right before His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche's life. And so many of his students were unaware that he had been reincarnated, or a tuku of Dudjom Lingpa had appeared, which is what's in Pemako. And there's a beautiful place on the mural here at Padma Samye Ling showing when his students finally met him. But this great Turtom Jendrong Sampa Jungne, he was aware of the tuku of Dudjom Lingpa. And it was he who, when he sent the students to go meet the tuku, he had a long life prayer. And in that long life prayer, that's where he named this name. Dechen Dorje arises from that in one way. So again, we're also remembering the life of this great teacher and great student and great example of the Dharma in Dudjom Rinpoche. Narmanikaya Lama, Drodu Lingpa, be aware of me. So that, again, that great compassion from that unity of emptiness and appearances, of vastness and clarity, openness, is the Narmanikaya, is the all-pervading compassion that appears to beings according to needs, is the Narmanikaya. So Narmanikaya, the compassion without bias, the primordial wisdom, free of all limitations, dwelling as the essence of all-pervading, naked awareness, emptiness. Narmanikaya, Drodo Lingpa, be aware of me. So Drodo Lingpa. So Drowa is like the wanderers, the wandering beings, sentient beings of the six realms is the Dro. And then the Dul implies one who brings peace and calm, tames the wild ones wandering, brings them peace and safety and calm. And then the Lingpa is like that, like a pure land, a safe haven. So the one who brings calm and safe haven to wandering beings is the Narmanikaya, who appears in all kinds of ways as a supreme Narmanikaya, such as Guru Rinpoche or Buddha Shakyamuni. But ultimately, when we really apply the teachings in the view, everything we experience is the blessings of the Narmanikaya Lama. It's the perfect situation for us to wake up, release and purify our misunderstandings, and bring out our wisdom and our bodhichitta, make it strong and natural. And then again, Drodro Lingpa is also a name of the great teacher Dudjom Rinpoche, who composed this poem. Drodro Lingpa was actually the name he was given when he was enthroned by Guru Padma and Yeshe Sogyal as a Tertan. They gave him that name. So Drodro Lingpa comes from the name bestowed upon Dudjom Rinpoche by Padma and Yeshe Sogyal. And then I think later, one of his teachers gave him, reaffirmed that name when he entrusted him with all of his lineage of teachings. So that's a little bit touching on those questions. That Tertan's name was Zilnon Namke Dorje, who also kind of reaffirmed that name of Drodro Lingpa to Dudjom Rinpoche when he enthroned him. And again, that Narmanikaya, we're safe. So, those are some of the answers to those little questions. And I just thought to add, though, again, getting to that point, how just reflecting on the meanings of these teachings, so beautiful, and really bringing it into our practice as we're teaching, as we're practicing, stirring those seeds, bringing that big view into our minds and hearts, really, truly, this precious connection we have, like we say, remember the Lama, remember the Lama, remember the Lama. Incomparable kindness, unrepayable kindness, remember the Lama. What could be kinder than someone showing us our true nature and giving us the means for our own liberation? There's nothing kinder. It's so true. And that's all wisdom, right? Bringing out our wisdom. And then the three kaya state, realizing the three kayas is the ultimate wisdom. It is Buddhahood. We study, we contemplate, absorb the teachings into our practice with our meditation. We're introduced to this big view of the nature of things as they are, and then we're given means to kind of really become more familiar and see how it's true for ourselves directly through our meditation. And that's all supported with our conduct and by doing virtuous deeds, avoiding negativity, accumulating merit. So wisdom is that's the essence, bringing out our wisdom, but of course it needs those supports of actually studying, contemplating, practicing, meditating, bringing out the wisdom. Like we kind of referred to before, really bringing these 4 seals of the Buddha's teachings, reflecting on them, seeing how much, just checking in with ourselves, how much we're doing that. Again, me, myself at least, am a wandering being with aspirations and reverence and devotion, but still a little one, a little wee babe. But yeah, we have a sense of self being truly autonomous and existing. So we need to remove that obscuration, right? That's the cause of samsara, first noble and second noble truth, and well as the third and fourth, to actually find the cessation, to realize and see things as they are. We assume that all conditioned phenomena is truly existing. And it's not, according to the teachings, right? But when we begin to use the methods of analytical meditation, we can begin to bring out, that's called wisdom or insight, and seeing how everything's impermanent. And that really, we're not going to find ultimate happiness in samsara. We're just not, because samsara isn't a place. It's a misunderstanding. So really, that's wisdom, bringing out our wisdom, so important, our insight, vipassana, supreme seeing. And the wisdom, right, is just one of the 3 trainings. There's also trainings in proper conduct and concentration. So concentration, really developing, making sure I'm talking to myself and encouraging all of us. Really do spend time. It sounds kind of so obvious, but I know I find myself, distracted and tight and all those things, But really, concentration, shamatha, calm abiding, really, really working on developing our concentration is so beautiful and so important. Like Vimalamitra has a beautiful teaching where he goes through the stages of shamatha and vipassana and the virtues and qualities. But, the point is to bring out wisdom, but without calming down, due to all of these misperceptions I just went over, contrary to how things are, we're wandering anxiously, constantly, so easily distracted. It's almost like that blur is how we can stay identified, It's so kind of contrary to what we really wish, which is peace. So that's why it's so important in all Buddhist meditation, right? Just to remember, it really comes down to shamatha and vipassana. And the shamatha, calm abiding, just really, really learning how to deeply, with our body, with our energy, with our speech, with our mind, relax, but relax and stay aware, and relax and be able to maintain a focus and to be able to concentrate, which means not be distracted. That's like, when we're able to do that, that's like a candle or a lamp in a room that's still, as opposed to like a birthday candle in the wind, And by having that really good base, then our vipassana is what's going to really, we can be calm and undistracted and bring out the true insight into the 3 kaya state. So just really spend time before, during, checking in with relaxing, concentrating, and opening. The essence of shamatha is holding. The essence of vipassana is releasing. And then ultimately, we're doing them both. So that's all I'll say for now. I've really talked too long again. I hope this is helpful. So again, it's unrepayable kindness. Remember the Lama. And then when we do our Guru Yoga, what are we doing? We're receiving all those blessings. We're receiving the 4 empowerments, which are nothing other than in receiving the blessings to realize our Dharmakaya, our Sambhogakaya, our Narmanikaya, and all of them inseparable. To realize our full Buddhahood is what we're doing when we're doing our Guru Yoga. Resolving that duality. So again, thank you. We'll just, for a moment, do some silent meditation. Just reflect, relax. Again, maybe, like I was just mentioning, we can just spend a few moments relaxing. Again, just being mindful of our body's posture. When we have good posture, our winds and our energy can move freely. And when our energy can move freely and unimpeded, our mind can settle. With open senses, letting our concentration here being aware of our body, supported by the ground, open to the sky, breathing.